elders who have been named to be sugar daddies, and and that one actually, these are the real situations that are facing our country. Sometimes when economy is down, there are no jobs for parents. Some children may think of what being actually presented here as a drama. But let me advise my age mates, elders, fathers, you know that name is not good for us, the sugar daddy. So let us help our children, our daughters, without any further interest. Just give him or give her something for transport and also for his school fees at a bigger university, so that we are not being portrayed, all of us, as sugar daddies. So thank you, my daughters, for what you have presented. We will try to improve the situation generally so that you don't fall into that trap.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The Minister of Petroleum has announced the full resumption of crude oil exports days after two drone attacks on the Ejlech and Al Jabalin oil facilities forced an emergency shutdown of key infrastructure. The Vice President and Chair of the Economic Cluster has emphasized the urgent need to clear civil servant salary arrears and improve the delivery of public services. And Professor John Oprorakej has said he is withdrawing his interest in serving in any ministerial position in South Sudan, saying public office has increasingly become a family function rather than a platform for national service. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Wol Mapal. Now the news in detail. The Minister of Petroleum has announced the full resumption of crude oil exports days after two drone attacks on the Ejlech and Al Jabalin oil facilities forced an emergency shutdown of key infrastructure. In a media briefing this morning, Engineer Denglal Wol, the Undersecretary of Petroleum, confirmed that crude oil transportation and processing have resumed normalcy after quick repairs by joint teams from South Sudan and Sudan. Deng said the first incident was on November 13 at 2:30 when an AUV launched 3 missiles at the Ejlech facility, hitting the maintenance workshop and lab.
The Republic of South Sudan announced a full resumption of the oil transportation and export operation following a temporary suspension caused by a drone attack on critical oil infrastructure in Ejlech and Jabalin oil field facility. On Thursday, November 13, 2025, at approximately 2:30, the Ejlech Central Processing Facility was attacked by unmanned aerial vehicles, and the UAE launched 3 missile strike the CPF maintenance workshop and laboratory.
Despite the disruptions, Engineer Lwal said the Ministry of Petroleum is determined to secure national oil assets.
The Ministry of Petroleum assured the general public and the people of South Sudan that the flow of crude oil from South Sudan has been fully restored, and crude oil export is now flowing normally from South Sudan through the designated pipeline to the export point at the marine terminal in the Red Sea in Republic of Sudan. The Ministry of Petroleum, it is sent its gratitude to the dedicated technical team from Our partners at Dar Petroleum Operating Depot, Greater Pioneer Operating Company Depot, and Sud Petroleum Operating Company ASPOC in the Republic of South Sudan, and Ministry of Energy and Petroleum Sudan, both Oshai Pipeline BAPCO and Petroline for the crude oil company, PETCO, and 2B Operating Company 2B OPCO in the Republic of Sudan for their swift and professional response, which has minimized the impact of this incident on our national economy.
The Vice President and Chair of the Economic Cluster has emphasized the urgent need to clear civil servants' salary arrears and improve the delivery of public services. Speaking after his swearing-in ceremony as the first Deputy Chairman of the SPLM Party on Tuesday, the Vice President underscored the importance of addressing long-delayed salaries for public servants. Dr. Higa stated that the government's immediate and mandatory responsibility is to ensure that civil servants' overdue salaries are paid and that essential services reach citizens without further delay. He stressed that no stone must be left unturned in fulfilling these obligations.
Our immediate mandatory function is to pay the long-delayed civil servants' salaries, along the delivery of the dire services to our citizens. Here, we must leave no stone unturned there.
Meanwhile, President Salva Kiir Mayardit, chairman of the SPLM, directed senior party leaders to work toward unifying party members and strengthening engagement at the grassroots level ahead of the 2026 general elections. President Kiir called on the SPLM leadership to secure renewed popular mandate from the people, similar to the victory achieved in the 2010 elections, by revitalizing the party and ensuring fair and effective delivery of basic services. He said that this strategy aims to revive the founding principles upon which the SPLM was built. The president urged the party members to mobilize support within their constituencies and strengthen the SPLM's presence nationwide. This is iRadio News. Professor John Akech Aprot has said he is withdrawing his interest in serving in any ministerial position in South Sudan, saying public office has increasingly become a family function rather than a platform for national service. In a public message on his Facebook page titled "Cry My Beloved Country," the former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Juba expressed disappointment over what he described as a growing trend in which political appointments are treated as personal or family entitlements, sidelining merit, competence and patriotism. He said, and I quote, "Where ministerial appointments are regarded as family function, not an opportunity to serve our citizens diligently, I am withdrawing my application to ministerial positions in the Republic of South Sudan and remain a mere teacher at large. Hopefully, the next generation will fix it." End quote. His remarks have gained wide attention online, resonating with South Sudanese who have long voiced concerns about governance, nepotism, and the credibility of public institutions. A well-known academic and public commentator, Professor Akech, who previously served as Vice-Chancellor of the University of Juba, advocated for educational reforms, transparency, and greater involvement of intellectuals in policy making. The announcement has sparked discussion among young professionals, civil society leaders, and social media users, many of whom praise the professor's candor. Professor Akech ended his message with a tone of resignation mixed with hope, saying he believes future generations will take on the responsibility of correcting the governance challenges facing the nation. Elsewhere, authorities in Raja County, Western Bahar al-Ghazali State have reported a build-up of large trucks carrying goods at the Sopo bridges after damage of one of the structures that links the area to the state capital, Wau. According to Adaison Akanjilo, the Commissioner of Raja County, the bridge located at Sopo Payam, 42 miles from Raja Town and 168 miles from Wau, has been partially damaged, disrupting the flow of goods and movement of residents. Commissioner Adaison said the damage has prevented large trucks from crossing, raising serious concerns among citizens and traders. Only small cars are currently able to pass from one side of the bridge to the other. He added that he cut short his visit to Wau in order to urgently address the matter. He spoke to Arido this morning from Wau.
يمكن دمج بسيط في طرف بتاع الكوبري المدخل بتاع الكوبري وده نتيجة للمياه الخزينة اليومين ده حصلت على مستوى بتاع مقاطعة راجة، ونحن معروفة احنا في الحدود مع دولة أفريقيا الوسطى، فحصلت لنا حصول بتاع أمطار كثيرة، وبرضه في يمكن جزء من الأمطار جاية من اتجاه سنتر أفريقيا، فأثرت مع الكوبري هي في الأيام بتاع الصبح حصلت مشكلة، وكان الكوبري تم التشييد بتاعه من قبل بتاع الأمم المتحدة المكتب الميداني في واو. فنحن برضه كحكومة ساهمنا مساهمة كبيرة عشان يكون في استمرارية بتاع الطريق بين واو وراجع على مدار الصيف والخريف، الطريق يكون بصورة كويسة، لأنه بيحافظ على الأمن، بيحافظ على نقل بتاع البضائع من الولاية إلى المقاطعة، من المقاطعة إلى الولاية. فالطريق دائما بنعرف الأهمية بتاعه، بيساعد في الاقتصاد، بيساعد في الأمن، في حاجات كثيرة على مستوى بتاع الدولة.
According to the commissioner, the bridge was affected by heavy rain last week and water flowing from the Central Africa side.
حصلت فيها يمكن دمج بسيط في الطرف بتاع الكوبري، المدخل بتاع الكوبري، وده نتيجة للمياه الخزينة اليومين ده حصلت على مستوى بتاع مقاطعة راجة، ونحن معروفة احنا في الحدود مع دولة أفريقيا الوسطى، فحصلت لنا حصول بتاع أمطار كثيرة، وبرضه في يمكن جزء من الأمطار جاية من اتجاه سنتر أفريقيا، فأثرت مع الكوبري، فقام فصل الكوبري من الاتجاه اللي بتربطه مع الواطة العادية.
And finally, the Minister of Public Service and Human Resource Development has announced the start of the biometric registration and public service headcount, beginning with 5 pilot sites across key ministries. Minister Dagdwop Bichok said the exercise will start with the Ministries of Presidential Affairs, Cabinet Affairs, Public Service and Human Resource Development, Finance and Planning, and Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. According to him, the pilot will help refine the process before rolling it out nationwide.
This important national exercise will be implemented in phased, beginning with 5 piloting sites of Minister of Presidential Affairs, the Minister of Cabinet Affairs, the Minister of Public Service and Human Resource Development, the Minister of Finance and Planning, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. This pilot will allow us to refine the process.
The Vice President and Chair of the Service Cluster, Josephine Lagu Yango, who officiated the project, described the reform as both a national priority and our personal mission to rebuild an efficient, fair and transparent public service. She stressed that payroll reform is essential to restore accountability, boost civil service morale and ensure government resources benefit all citizens, not the privileged few. She emphasized the government's commitment to establish a credible and verifiable database of all public servants. She said that the exercise goes beyond payroll cleanup, aimed at strengthening human capital development and reducing South Sudan's dependence on oil revenues by creating a qualified and accountable workforce. Lagu commended the Ministry of Public Service for the initiative and acknowledged the World Bank for its technical and financial support. She called for full cooperation from all government institutions, affirming that the government's reforms will succeed because it is designed to benefit every citizen.
We want to create a system that will benefit all of our civil servants across the country. We want to create a system that will be sustainable, a system that, we as a country and as a government will be proud of, a system that the next generation will applaud the current generation. So through this process, we aim to establish a credible and verifiable database of all public servants, ensuring that only those who genuinely serve the government are on the payroll.
This is our radio news, and now to the regional international stories. Here is Madrama James.
Thanks, my colleague Wol Mapal. Let's have a look at some of the stories making headlines in Africa and beyond. Women in Ethiopia's Amhara region say that they are facing horrific abuses as the conflict between government forces and Fano militias intensifies. One survivor, identified as Ina, told the BBC she was raped by soldiers during a house search in South Gondar, while her 8-year-old niece was held at gunpoint. She said the attack happened in January as the army cracked down on the growing rebellion, and the fighters saw no pity despite her pleas. The BBC reports that her story reflects a wider pattern of violence devastating the lives of women caught in the conflict. Elsewhere, U.S. President Donald Trump said Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman knew nothing about the 2018 killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi as he welcomed the kingdom's de facto ruler to the White House. Trump's comment appeared to contradict a U.S. intelligence assessment in 2021 which determined the Crown Prince had approved the operation that led to Jamal's death at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in 2018. The Crown Prince, who was denied any wrongdoing, said at the White House that Saudi Arabia did all the right things to investigate Jamal's death, which he calls painful. And finally, award-winning rapper Nicki Minaj has publicly backed President Donald Trump's allegation that Christians face persecution in Nigeria. Minaj says on Tuesday that Christians are being targeted at an event organized by the U.S., adding that churches have been banned, families have been torn apart simply because of how they pray. It follows recent threats by Trump to send troops into Nigeria, guns blazing if the government continue to allow the killings of Christians. Analysts say that there is no evidence that Christians have been specifically targeted in Nigeria. These are some of the stories making headlines in Africa and beyond. Back to you, my colleague Wol Mapal.
Vote of thanks, Madrama, for the regional and international stories. Up next is sports with Lesuba Memo.
Thanks to Wol Mapal. In the world of sports, Ethiopia has thrashed South Sudan 4-1 in the second match played at Pekadaka Stadium in Addis Ababa. This match is in the Group A fixtures of the Sakafa Under-17 Championship qualifiers. With this scoreline, Ethiopia is set to top the group with 6 points, while South Sudan remains on 1 point. In another, Sudan lost to Tanzania 9-0. Superstar footballer Cristiano Ronaldo attended a White House back-tie dinner alongside the de facto leader of Saudi Arabia on Tuesday night. Speaking ahead of the event, US President Donald Trump said it was an honor to host Ronaldo, whose starring role in the Saudi Football League has seen him become a face of the country's modernization drive. The tiny Caribbean island of Curacao has become the smallest nation to ever qualify for the World Cup after drawing with Steve McLaren's Jamaica. The record was held by Iceland, who reached the 2018 finals, but their country is far bigger than Curacao, which has a population of just over 150,000 and a land area of 171 square miles, smaller than the Isles of Man. The last kick of a win that takes Scotland to their first Men's World Cup in almost 3 decades in a Kenny McLean goal from the halfway line. This is not a dream. The 33-year-old Norwich midfielder is wheeling his way to the corner flag with almost every member of the squad hunting him down. LeBron James became the first player to take part in 23 consecutive NBA seasons when he stepped onto the court for the Los Angeles Lakers on Tuesday. The 40-year-old, who missed his side's opening 14 games of the season because of sciatica, contributed 11 points, 12 assists and 3 rebounds in 30 minutes of a 140-126 home win over the Utah Jazz. Finally, Belgium beat France in the opening match of the Davis Cup finals. One of the day organizers confirmed talks will take place about the tournament's future format amid the absence of several top players. The 86th ranked Raphael Collignon upset French world number 35 Corentin Moutet 26-7-5-7-5 to get the action underway in Bologna. That's all in the world of sports. Back to you, Wol Mapal.
Thanks, Lesuba Memo, for the sports updates. Here brings us to the end of our stories this afternoon. But first, here's a quick recap of our headlines once again. The Minister of Petroleum has announced the full resumption of crude oil exports days after 2 drone attacks on the Ejlich and Al Jablin oil facilities forced an emergency shutdown of key infrastructure. The Vice President and Chair of the Economic Cluster has emphasized the urgent need to clear civil servant salary arrears and improve the delivery of public services. And Professor John Prorakech has said he is withdrawing his interest in serving in any ministerial position in South Sudan, saying public office has increasingly become a family function rather than a platform for national service. That is the end of iReader News. If there is a story or an event you would like iReader to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iReader Juba. Like our Facebook page, iReader. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iReader South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.ireader.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at half past the hour. I am Wol Mapal. Thanks for listening.